Greetings and welcome to another episode of Association Matters, the official PCAAE podcast for conversations on governance, leadership, and impact. We believe that when associations thrive, societies rise. So we are your host. I'm Bobby.
And I'm Emily. And the topic for today's podcast is marketing with a capital M. Many associations fall into the trap of viewing marketing as lowercase m work as such. An example might be meaning that simple promotional tactics or newsletters or flyers.
So in this episode, we sit down with Christine Saunders, CM, President and Founder of Halmyre, to explore what it means to lead with capital M marketing. Drawing on over 2 decades of growth strategy experience across North American professional and trade associations, Christine will break down how to elevate marketing to a core business discipline. So stay tuned as we discuss shifting from transactional communications to holistic growth ecosystem that captures new audiences, optimizes pricing, and drives resilient member retention.
Aside from what Bobby just mentioned, Christine is a sought-after strategist, facilitator, and speaker on value proposition pricing, audience insights, and resilience for associations. Her talks receive enthusiastic reviews from audience members who appreciate her pragmatic approach while being challenged to adopt a growth mindset and identify issues and opportunities that deliver that long-term member value.
So, hi, Christine, and welcome to Association Matters. We're so delighted to have you with us. So, we can start now our conversation.
Wonderful, Bobby and Emily. Thank you for having me. I'm really, really delighted to be here.
Thank you. And we can start with you telling us about marketing with a capital M. And can you share an example of an association that has successfully shifted its approach to marketing? Please, Christine.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's one of the most power questions that I see with associations. I'm going to start first, if you don't mind, with the why I think it's so important for associations. Many associations are structurally what we call at Halmyre in a bit of a bubble, and I'm using air quotes. If you can't see me, I'm using my fingers for air quotes. They're in a bit of a bubble, listening to some of the most engaged members who are volunteers and leaders. And this puts them at risk to that concept of resilience because they're not connecting with, and this is the capital M part, their market. They're not looking and assessing with their head up what's happening around them. So capital M marketing is actually a managerial discipline. Marketing, I'm going to take a lateral here and bear with me. I've been in marketing for a lot of my career, and marketing has been co-opted, I think, by the creative pursuits, creative agencies, design agencies, and that is a really important part of it. But capital M marketing is helping any business, and associations no different, understand where they are, how strong they are, where the opportunities are, and where their threats are in their marketplace. So that's the big concept. And it's really, as an association leader who may be listening to this, I challenge you and say, do you have your finger on the pulse of who isn't your member? Why not? Where else are they spending their time? And how much are they giving to spend their time there? How much time, energy, and financial resources are they giving to spend their time there? So those are the core elements of your market. So I'm going to just pause there and make sure that landed, because I think it's an especially powerful concept for associations because they can get trapped listening to the same really passionate members over and over and over again who are telling them it's good or maybe telling them how to correct it, but they're not seeing risks coming and they're missing opportunities.
I really think that's important, Christine, because I think it goes for all businesses too, right? That sometimes you listen to the loudest voices, but the gems are often in the quietest ones. You've got to look for those little gems in those shadows.
Sorry, Bobby, did you want to jump in?
No, I just want to say that I like the idea of, marketing is not promotion, but marketing is really a management,
It's a
it's really
management.
about managed discipline. Yes.
To me, it is the core strategy of any business, including associations. And so business schools will teach this. What I'm about to say isn't new. There are a classic four, they call them the 4 P's of marketing. And that's your product. That's for associations, features and benefits. Could be education, it could be events or networking or communities. Your product, your price. So how much are you charging? And associations need to think about how much they're charging, not just in dollars and cents, but in time and in energy. How hard is it to get there? The place, are you virtual? Do you have a great customer experience, a great member journey, great member experience with great technology and tech stack? Is your learning up to date? Is your AMS delivering great smooth experiences? And then promotion is often cited as the last P. Once you get those fundamentals right, do you know how to then promote it and send the emails out and the websites and the social media? And I think I'm going to reference, you asked for examples, Bobby, and I with some respect to their privacy, because I'm working with a client right now who's going through a bit of a transformation. They are a national organization for healthcare-based profession. And I think they've been very, very focused on advocacy work with the government. And this has been very important to the board and the leadership for a long time. And without argument, the issues that they are advocating on are important for their members and for the people who benefit from their services. And Emily, I loved what you said. It's like the quiet voices. Take that one step further. Listen, and this is a particular gap I see for associations. They don't speak to or listen to the people who aren't their members. Like, so even quieter than the quiet member.
Yeah.
Right?
The silent ones.
The people who silently didn't renew or just aren't taking up those offers to join. And maybe they come to an event, but they're like, meh, I'm not going to join. So those people, I'm working with a client right now to spend some time listening to those non-members in particular, to bring that voice forward. And I think it's offering an opportunity for this organization to really realize that the vast majority of their members are struggling with other pain points on a day-to-day basis, balancing their work and life, balancing the economics of their career and the costs of their education versus the salaries and the benefits they're getting. Changing landscape in this medical with a lot of corporatization, really changing and influencing things, which really distresses them in some ways. That the advocacy that they're speaking about is important, but maybe disconnected from that day-to-day reality. And so I think that's a really example of an organization who's going through this transformation. I'm not saying that they've gone through it and done it, but they're going through it. And sometimes it's hard to hear because they care so much and they work so hard, and they do. But when you hear they could be doing better or they're missing a big opportunity, that is understanding your capital M market. Because with that knowledge, you can then do something about it.
100% agree, Christine. That was, I got lots of takeaways from that one. What are some of the most effective ways associations can communicate their value then to current members and those prospective or silent members?
There's a tool we call, and it's deceptively simple, and I'll get to, maybe some of the ways you can put things out the door. But what I'm about to say to most association leaders that you would think, because I'm going to say they're not necessarily listening to the voice of the member. And every association professional I know does, but they're listening to that bubble. And so when you can encapsulate the voice of their potential members or their future members, I think, and you start speaking directly to what they care about, not what you have to say. And so I've got another little framework I want to give that I talk to our associations about. You use the word communicate, and that turns into communications. Communications is different than marketing. And a lot of associations, I check everyone, like, go check your title bank. The profession of communications in my education is about saying what you have to say in the best possible way. Using marketing, capital M marketing, and all of its P's, when you understand what they want to hear, that is marketing. And when you speak to what they want to hear, not what you have to say, when they want to hear. And that is a subtle but powerful shift. So, Emily, coming back to your question, what is the best way? First of all, really nail down the voice of your member and future member and speak to what they care about over and over and over again. And you will never go wrong. And they will give you all of their time and attention. It's a little magic trick. We worked with a group of professional engineers here in Canada who are doing this exceptionally well, and they really are confronting complicated problems, challenges to the license that maybe were uncomfortable for some of the members, but it was kind of speaking to something that the members knew no one was really talking about. So Emily, that organization of engineers really put their finger on some of these problems that were occurring with their license and just shining a light on it. And it got everyone's true attention. So that may be a little bit more strategic than you were asking your question. And I welcome a follow-up if you'd like to challenge me with other ideas. But my best advice is measure twice and then cut once. So the best way to communicate to your members is to market to them by speaking about what they care about, and do your homework to really understand that first.
Yeah. One of in the context of the Philippine Association community, one of the challenges that many associations have is really to communicate their value proposition, because it's always a member, a prospective member will always ask, "What's in it for me?"
What's in it for me? With them.
Yeah. So, so what do you think is the best way to really, number one, to make a unique value proposition statement or something to communicate, and B is, how do you really communicate that when you have zoomed in on your unique value proposition?
If you give me 2 or 3 minutes of license, I'm going to tell some don'ts first before I tell you the do's, because there are some very common traps I see around that question and what people do. A big don't is try to avoid making your value proposition a mathematical equation. There's a temptation in some professions to say, join us, pay us $100, and you will get savings here, value back here, this report worth $50, and oh, look, it adds up to more than $100. That is not an ideal way. There's a couple of reasons why, but it's not ideal. It is a losing battle because you've just drawn the low water mark that you are then going to be chased down to improve upon. So that is an example of how not to communicate a value proposition. One other don't is, don't confuse that your value proposition is different for different types of members. So it's tempting. It doesn't mean that different features of your value are more important to some members than others, but don't think you have to try to be something for the students and something else for the practicing member. For instance, I'm imagining a professional association. So resist those temptations. So communicating your value proposition, you have to answer 4 questions. So that statement, it is important, I think, for every organization to have a value proposition statement that answers succinctly 4 questions. Who is it for? What do they want and need? Who are you? And what do you do uniquely, better, or best at filling those wants and needs? And I'm happy to provide some resources that you can share with your members on this, some blogs.
Thanks.
Now you're pushing. Sorry, you want to ask me a question?
No, that's it. I mean, you've answered the question, especially on the don't side, and what it is really to put in your value proposition statement. So that's fine, Christine.
Yeah, the only other tip, the other do that I have, and this is old school managerial marketing. It's old school promotions marketing. Tell them again, tell them again, tell them again, remind them, and don't forget to tell them again. So you can never repeat your messages in that value proposition enough at every turn. Do not make the fundamental miscalculation that people will have read and fully absorbed everything the first time you put it in front of them. They won't. We're all too busy. That's not how we work. That's not how the media environment works. So that's my other tip. Like that's my other very
Yes.
basic tip. And Emily, I get back to you and say you had asked a question. I have another off the side of my desk piece of advice. How do you
Please.
communicate and market the benefits or the value? You know, associations are challenged like every organization, but more so with being resource limited. I would rather all of my clients do one average thing well than try to do 5 amazing things poorly. So I want every association out there to know that if they find one tactic that they, you know, someone knows how to do it, they know how to do an email and it seems to be working, keep going. I would rather than do that one thing really well with repetition than trying to do too many things because some member called up and said, why aren't you on whatever the latest social media platform is? Some
I think
general
that's really good, Christine, because I think sometimes we all get lured into the latest platform, the latest social media platform, the latest trend, the latest, I don't know, jumping onto TikTok. But to just sit back and just know what you do well and know that with confidence, I think can be, as you said, just such a strength. You don't need to be everything to everyone and stretch yourself so thin that you're doing things poorly. That's a really good takeaway.
And
Uh,
it works on the value proposition as well as the
Mm.
out the door. Like associations are inherently, if associations get outside that bubble and understand what's happening in their marketplace, who else is competing. And let me give everyone a rule out there. If you're an association, you think, I don't have any competition, you are wrong.
Yeah.
You are wrong, you are wrong, and you are wrong. I've never met an association that doesn't have loads of competition. Understanding those conditions, and then be the high quality aspirational organization that associations are. Associations are designed to help people want to be better. They respond because groups of people want to get better. Go with it. It's a great place to be as a value proposition. Okay.
Yes. Thank you for your insights, Christine. So our third and final question to you is an advice again. What's one marketing practice every association should focus over in the next 12 months, say?
Dollar for dollar market research. Okay, so what does market research mean? Often it is the member survey. That's what it can be called internally. But go further. I would take and do advise my clients to spend more than they maybe have time and effort on this. Don't just survey by asking how we did. That was last year. That's valuable information, but that's not going to help you understand your market, your capital M market. Ask questions about, if you're in a professional association, where are your career going? What's standing in your way? Where else do you learn? Who do you talk to for career advice? Get market information and do it regularly and listen to it. I also strongly counsel the mix of having one-on-one interviews with members and non-members as part of that market research to really dig in and ask why. Why is that? Why is that? The insights will help every association be more resilient. It is from the Capital M Marketing Toolkit, dollar for dollar gold.
That's fantastic, Christine. Thank you so much for your time. Normally, we wrap up with 3 key takeaways for our viewers, and I do have some notes, but I just feel like there's a lot more than 3 in there. So I encourage anyone who's maybe fast forwarded to this point of the podcast to listen to the 3 key takeaways to please go back to the start, because there is a lot more than 3 in here. I will try my best to touch on some of the big pieces to wrap up. So number 1 there is the key thing I heard was marketing is bigger than promotion. That's really important. And that it's a responsibility of management as well. So one of the key points that was made was associations are often falling into the trap of thinking marketing is simply about that promotion, the emails, the social media posts. But that's only one piece of the puzzle. And that true marketing is about understanding your market, listening to members and those silent members, and making deliberate decisions about your product, your pricing, your positioning, and communications. almost last. Associations are they should embrace those 4 Ps of marketing to be much better placed to remain relevant and create that value for their members. Key takeaway number 2 was focus on the problems you're helping solve. So the example of the organization of engineers that you were working with is a great reminder that members don't just join organizations, they're really there to engage with the communities and help them address the challenges that they care about, which is such important work. So rather than focus solely on selling the membership benefits, associations should look bigger at the issues affecting their profession or industry and really tackle and support those problems, help those members advance their goals. And key takeaway number 3 was probably that listening. I think that was the theme throughout all of our conversation today was a really big piece, is just listening to the members and being truly member-centric. And effective marketing really starts by understanding what members and prospective members, truly care about, not just simply telling them what your association wants to say, which I think is a really important difference that you pointed out. Gathering that regular feedback, but asking those questions that are not about what your association has achieved in the past 12 months, but looking forward and gathering those marketing insights, which is something personally really refreshing to see that kind of questioning coming through and being promoted. As you pointed out, investing in the gathering those insights, hearing the voice of the members is one of the smartest investments associations can make in 2026 and beyond.
What a
Excellent.
recap. Well done. Well done. Good job.
I feel like there was so much more, but there we
Yes,
go.
so excellent, Emily, as always, your summation. So thank you again, Christine, for joining us and gracing this podcast. Thank you also to our audience joining this podcast where governance, leadership, and impact come together. This podcast is brought to you by the Philippine Council of Associations and Association Executives, MEMBIS, AMS, and Pricing for Associations.
Subscribe to our podcast and visit the PCAAE website for updates and full episode notes. Until next time, thank you for joining us, Christine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.